And welcome to our transfer admission webinar. We're just about to start. So just before we get started, we want to remind you that our staff are here and ready to answer your questions. So if you came prepared with some, you can start asking some questions using the Q&A feature now. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that the University of Guelph resides on the lands of the Between the Lakes Treaty Number 3, the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. This land is a part of the Dish with One Spoon, a covenant between Indigenous nations to live peaceably on the territory of the Great Lakes region. We recognize that this land is a gathered place home of many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples, and acknowledging them reminds us of our responsibility to the lands where we live, work, and play. Wherever you are joining us from today, we encourage you to learn more about the land you are on and its Indigenous stewards. We feel it is important to recognize and show respect for the historical and current realities of the land as we work to build relationships with First Nations, Inuit, Métis, and all Indigenous peoples. My name is Hilary Holmes, and I work in admissions and recruitment here at the University of Guelph. As our Pathways Advisor, my main role is to promote and develop transfer opportunities for students who want to move from a diploma to a degree program. I also spend a fair amount of time working with students who want to transfer from another university in Ontario, in Canada, and internationally. I am a graduate of the Bachelor of Arts program at the University of Guelph, and just recently started a master's program part-time. I absolutely love being a student and a staff member here at the University of Guelph, and hope that our presentation today will inspire you to apply and join our community. I'm joined today by my colleague, Michelle Donahue, who will be helping out with the Q&A portion of the webinar. She'll also be sharing links and announcements in the chat. Michelle is our Acting Liaison Officer, National and Transfer Recruitment, which means that she splits her time between transfer student outreach and supporting our out-of-province high school students from coast to coast. Michelle graduated from the Bachelor of Commerce program, where she majored in marketing management. If anyone who is joining today has questions about business, please use the Q&A to connect with Michelle. At the end of the presentation, we'll also share the email addresses where you can reach both Michelle and I. Today, this webinar is specific to transfer students. Our plan is to highlight important information that is specific to the transfer application process. While it might seem like a lot of information all at once, please be aware that everything I will be discussing can also be found on our website. For those of you here who have already applied for admission, please be patient as we will be reviewing requirements, deadlines, and how to apply. On November 17th, we will be hosting webinars specifically for transfer applicants to the winter, summer, and fall 2022 semesters. This webinar will go into greater detail about submitting documents, monitoring your application status, admission decision timelines, and transfer credits. You can register for this event now on our website. As we've mentioned already, please use the Q&A to ask questions throughout the presentation. I'll take this time to thank Kelly and Leah, colleagues of ours who are ready to help out with any questions that you have. Please note as well that this webinar is being recorded and will be posted on our website later for you to access, or you can share it with friends who were not able to attend today. Okay, let's get started. Before we jump into admission requirements, we thought introduce to the city of Guelph. With a population of 130,000 people, there are normally lots of events, concerts, lectures, movie nights, and speaker series for you to enjoy. The city is beautiful with lots of great parks, restaurants, and cafes. Getting ice cream and going canoeing or kayaking at the bright pink boathouse on Gordon Street is a favorite activity for many students, while others enjoy the pizza at Bread Bar nearby. My favorite is the apple bacon pizza. And this isn't the last time we're going to mention the delicious eats in Guelph today. I'm guessing that most of you know where Guelph is located, but just in case, here's a map. We are about 1 hour west of Toronto on the 401, And lots of students enjoy living and learning in Guelph, but our location also makes it possible to commute from the GTA, Kitchener-Waterloo, or the Hamilton area. The University of Guelph is located just south of downtown between College and Stone Roads on Gordon Street. Our campus is pretty much entirely pedestrian, so you'll experience a tight-knit community. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to walk from one end of campus to the other. On screen here, you'll find some facts about the University of Guelph. We're a mid-sized comprehensive university with just under 30,000 undergraduate students. Comprehensive means that we are known for both teaching and research, and we have a wide variety of academic programs at the undergraduate and graduate levels. At the U of G, it's our mission to improve life for students, as well as local and international communities. In 2020, Guelph received over $158 million in research funding, and we have 26 active researchers on our faculty. This is an important factor for you to consider as you decide where to apply as a transfer student, as research dollars means opportunities for you as undergraduate students to take part in cutting-edge research. Our strong reputation as a research institution means we attract award-winning faculty who are in turn your teachers, collaborators, and references as you move on to postgrad, professional, or career opportunities. The University of Guelph offers 13 undergraduate degrees with 85 different specializations or majors. Our most popular programs are the Bachelor of Science, the Bachelor of Arts, the Bachelor of Commerce, and the Bachelor of Engineering. We are also known for unique programs in animal sciences, agriculture, environmental sciences, and landscape architecture. New programs include the Bachelor of Indigenous Environmental Science and Practice, and we will welcome our first cohort into the Bachelor of One Health program in fall 2022. All right, let's now talk about what you need to do to get in. The minimum average required to be considered for admission varies by program. We encourage you to visit our website to find the minimum required cumulative average for the program you're interested in applying to. Transfer applicants must have completed the 4U level prerequisite courses or equivalents for the program they're applying to. We do require transfer students to submit high school transcripts so that we can review them to confirm you graduated high school and you have the prerequisites. However, your post-secondary marks are the main thing that the admission committee will consider for admission purposes. Anyone who has attended a post-secondary school is considered a transfer applicant. This is true even if you attended an institution 15 years ago, you're still considered a transfer student, not a mature student. To be considered for admission as a transfer student, you must have completed at least 2 credits. This is equivalent to 1 year of full-time study in a 2 or 3-year diploma program, or 1 semester of full-time study in a degree level program. If you have less than this, you can still apply, but you'll be considered for admission based on your high school grades, and you'll only be eligible for the fall entry point in September. To apply to the University of Guelph as a transfer student, you'll use the 105 application on the Ontario University's Application Center website. For short term, we'll say OUAC or OUAC. Note that there is no direct entry to biomedical science or criminal justice and public policy for transfer students. If you apply to one of these majors, you'll be considered for a different major in the same program. Once you apply through OUAC, your application is forwarded to our applicant processing team. We will start work with your application file, determine which documents are required, and assign you a University of Guelph email account and web advisor account. This initial information will be conveyed to you by email to the address you used when you applied. After that, all communication is conducted through your Guelph email account and your web advisor. Your WebAdvisor account allows you to track the statuses of your application and your required documents. Before we can consider your application complete and send it forward for review, we need transcripts from the schools you've attended. This includes high school transcripts and any and all post-secondary transcripts, current or past. If there are significant gaps of time between your studies, you need to tell us what your activities were during those times. For example, you might have been working, traveling, volunteering, or caring for a family member or parenting. We accept unofficial documents to be considered for a conditional offer of admission. This means you can submit transcripts in your possession that have been opened, and if you meet the requirements, you could get an offer. If you do get a conditional offer based on unofficial transcripts, you'll need to arrange the submission of official copies by a certain date outlined in your offer letter. If you are unable to obtain official copies of your transcripts from an international school that you've attended in the past, please contact World Education Services, also known as WES, or ICAS, to get a credential evaluation report. These are okay in place of official transcripts. You can upload unofficial documents on the OUAC website when you apply, or submit them to applicant@uoguelph.ca. Our team will ensure that they're included in your application folder for review. We will accept documents received by email as official if they're sent directly from the issuing institution, meaning your former school. Emails and documents that are forwarded by applicants are considered unofficial. Even though our office is physically closed due to renovations, we receive, open, and process documents sent by mail on a weekly basis. Once we have received your documents, your file is complete and an applicant processing coordinator will forward it to the admission counselor that is responsible for the program you've applied to. At Guelph, there is an admission counselor assigned specific responsibility for each of our undergraduate programs. The admission counselors work with admission committees to evaluate applications and make admission decisions. Once the admission counselor has received your file, they will evaluate it to see if a conditional offer can be made from the information and grades that we have received. If more information is needed, we will update your application status on WebAdvisor to communicate that your file is on hold until more documentation is received. Usually this means your final grades. This stage of the application process could take several weeks, depending on where we are in the admission cycle and when the admission committee can meet. We try to communicate a decision with you, a conditional decision, or if we need more information, as soon as possible. But many factors contribute to this timeline, including committee meetings, document deadlines, earlier entry points, and workflow. The timelines we're sharing with you today are just estimates and will ultimately depend on the volume of work coming into our office. Around deadline dates, we do experience a bit of a bottleneck effect, and so your patience is greatly appreciated as we try to work through the number of files and academic records coming into our office all at once. Here are the application and document submission deadlines for endpoints 2022. The application deadline is the date by when you need to submit the application on OUAC and pay the application fee. The document submission deadline is the date by when all of your documents must be received by undergraduate admission services. The deadline to apply for winter 2022 admission is November 15th. The document submission deadline for transfer students who are applying to start in January is December 1st. The deadline for summer 2022, you have to apply by March 15th and submit your documents by April 1st. If you're applying for admission to the fall entry point in September, the deadline to apply is May 1st and the document submission deadline is June 1st. Please note that most programs review applications and extend offers of admission on a continuing rolling basis. For this reason, you are strongly encouraged to apply and submit your documents well before these deadlines. It's important to note that if you are applying to the Bachelor of Landscape Architecture or the Diploma in Turfgrass Management, you must submit a background information form to be considered. These forms are reviewed by the admission committee. They want to know why you are interested in these programs, the research that you may have done, which could involve speaking to someone in the field, and why you are passionate about pursuing a career in landscape architecture or turfgrass management. These forms are available on our admissions website, and the deadlines are noted on screen. Transfer applicants are welcome to submit a personal support letter to accompany their application. Note that this support letter is optional unless it's specifically requested in the document section of your WebAdvisor account. There are no specific guidelines for content or formatting other than to submit the letter to applicant@uoguelph.ca as a Word or PDF document attachment after you have applied. Most students keep the letter to 1 to 2 pages and use it to explain or elaborate on extenuating circumstances that affected their grades in the past, their reasons for applying to the University of Guelph, and their future academic or career goals. We're getting a lot of questions about this time of year, so we thought us to talk about how you can transfer if you're enrolled in your first semester at a university. To be eligible for admission to the winter entry point in January, applicants need to have completed 2 credits. This means that if you're in your first semester at another university, you can apply if you will complete at least 2 credits or 4 undergraduate degree level courses by the end of fall 2021. It is important to note that it's likely that an admission decision will not be reached until we receive final grades from your fall 2021 courses. This means that if you're admissible, there will be a very quick turnaround between receiving an admission decision in late December or early January and starting classes in the winter semester. Now we'll move on to talk about transfer credits. A reminder that all transfer admission information is available on our website at this link. To evaluate and assess your transfer credits, the admission counselor will look at your transcript and compare it to the university's existing credit equivalency database. If a course has not been evaluated and added to our database, the admission counselor reviews course outlines and sometimes consults faculty to determine transfer credit. Except for our engineering program, it is not required that you submit your course outlines unless we contact you and ask for them. Note that we are not able to offer pre-assessments of transfer credit or admissibility. To learn which and how many transfer credits you will receive, you need to apply and submit all required documents by the deadlines. Successful applicants are notified of their transfer credit in their offer of admission letter. The exception to this is the Bachelor of Engineering program. Because of the program's accreditation standards, transfer credits may take a little bit longer to assign. For transfer students who have studied in a degree program, and that includes a degree program offered by a college, we typically grant transfer credit for all previously passed courses. Students will need to meet both academic residence and degree program requirements to graduate. If you've previously earned an undergraduate degree, you will be eligible to receive a maximum of 10 credits towards a second degree. For transfer students who have studied in a diploma program, we assign credit where possible, up to 5 credits for a completed 2-year diploma, and up to 10 credits for a completed 3-year diploma. 5 credits is equivalent to 1 year or 2 semesters of full-time study at university, and 10 credits is equivalent to 2 years or 4 semesters. When a student has completed a course in an academic discipline or subject area that we don't offer at Guelph, transfer credit is still considered, and generic elective transfer credits are assigned. For example, if you've taken a second-year social work course from another institution, we would usually assign a second-year social sciences elective transfer credit at Guelph because we don't offer a social work program. Now we're going to briefly touch on pathway and articulation agreements. For a complete list of our pathways and institution-specific articulation agreements, please visit this link. A pathway is an agreement that links graduates of a certain diploma program to a degree program in the same field. There may be specific admission requirements that differ from general college transfer requirements. Pathway programs have been pre-assessed for transfer credit. Students receive a standard block, we call it, of transfer credit towards their degree program. Students that are interested in pathways, or if you already know you are enrolled in a diploma program that is part of a pathway agreement, please connect with me at pathways@uoguelph.ca for more information. So I'll stop here to ask if anyone has any questions about admission or transfer credits, deadlines, or pathways. Let me check and see if there's any open questions in the Q&A. All right, I have a good one here. So someone has asked, how do I apply for co-op? Transfer students aren't eligible for direct entry to co-op. If you apply to co-op and you've previously attended a university or college, you'll be considered for the regular program only. Transfer students can apply for co-op after they've been admitted and they have registered in courses on campus. You'll need to meet the minimum requirements, and it's also dependent on the available space in the program when you're applying. Admission services isn't really involved in this process, so if you have more questions about applying to co-op as a transfer student, we encourage you to contact co-op and career services directly. Another question I have here is, what if I've attended university and college? Do I get transfer credits from both? The answer to that is yes. You'll be considered for transfer credit for all of the courses that you've completed. You do have to keep in mind that you need to meet the academic residence requirements, which basically means you have to take a certain number of your courses at Guelph to earn a University of Guelph degree. So that means that if you get a whole lot of transfer credit, it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll only have a few courses to complete to earn a degree. And I guess I'll get one last question here. Someone has asked, if there's any weekend classes? And I know that Leah is typing an answer in there, but we don't offer weekend classes as far as I know. There may be some field courses or some unique study opportunities where the professor would let you into the lab on the weekend. But as of right now, all of our classes are offered between Monday and Friday. Typically they're offered between 8:30 a.m. and then I think the last class ends at 10 o'clock. So I think it would start at around 7 and end at 10 o'clock. One final question here. Do you accept repeated courses as part of admission GPA? So we follow the policy of your former institution when we calculate your admission average. So if your college or your university includes all attempts at repeated courses in GPA, then we will too. If they take the highest attempt at a repeated course, then that's what we will do. Perfect. So I think we will continue, and please continue asking questions if you have them in the Q&A. Thanks Kelly and Leah and Michelle for answering those questions. So now that we've covered admission information, I wanted to share a brief overview of student life at Guelph. University is so much more than just your academic program, and your experiences outside of the classroom are just as important as those inside the classroom. Well, I mentioned earlier that the University of Guelph is commutable for many. If you do want to live on campus, it's possible we'll have some great options for you. Transfer students can reach out to student housing about applying for on-campus housing. There are 13 student residences to choose from on the north, east, and south sides of campus. Many transfer students like the townhomes and the apartments because they have kitchens and they allow for more independent living. Still, we have had transfer students in the past apply for the regular residence experience. Many of them also enjoy living in our living communities, different kind of communities that are listed on screen here. These are areas in residence where students are grouped or they share the same extracurricular interests, academic program, or lifestyle. A big part of your university experience will be the food that fuels your late night study sessions. At the University of Guelph, we are known for having the best campus food in Canada. Aside from how tasty our food is, we also have nutritious options and can accommodate any dietary restrictions. You'll frequently find vegan, vegetarian, kosher, halal, gluten-free, and dairy-free options on campus. I could go on, but I think the pictures on the screen here speak for themselves. Of course, with how yummy our food is, we have state-of-the-art athletic facilities and a wide variety of clubs, intramurals, group classes, and fitness programs for students to work off those calories, stay active, and have fun with. Playing intramural hockey, volleyball, and soccer were some highlights of my time as an undergraduate student. If you are interested in playing for Guelph Griffins varsity team, we encourage you to get in contact with the coach directly by filling out the recruiting form on the griffins.ca website. And you're welcome to do this even before you've applied. Featured here is our 3-story rock wall in the lobby of our athletic center, a few students enjoying an intramural bubble soccer game, and a picture from the Frosty Mug in the bottom left-hand corner. The Frosty Mug is our winter homecoming event. It's a hockey game that is held at the Sleeman Center in downtown Guelph I think it's in January or February every year. If athletics aren't your thing, there are many other ways to get involved on campus. We have hundreds of opportunities to participate in clubs, organizations, identities, cultural and religious groups, and student government, and also volunteering. That concludes our presentation today, but before we go, I will invite Michelle on camera to answer some of the questions from the Q&A. Here, I just want to invite you to use the QR code on your screen now to find more information about how to connect with us. We are now offering in-person campus tours, which follow public health guidelines and COVID-19 protocol. You are welcome to attend our preview day on November 7th. And lastly, if you do apply to U of G, please attend our applicant webinar on November 17th. We'll be able to address questions specific to applicants at that time. On the screen now is our contact information. So if you can't think of any questions now, or you want to chat with us after the webinar, this is the best way to reach Michelle and I. General questions can go to transferinfo@uoguelph.ca, and pathways specific questions can go to pathways@uoguelph.ca. Lastly, after you've applied, if you have questions about submitting documents or transcripts, your application or anything like that, applicant@uoguelph.ca is the best email address to contact. Thank you again to Kelly and Leah for answering questions in the Q&A today. And Michelle, maybe we can get started answering some of these student questions.
Yeah, thanks, Hilary. We do have a question in the Q&A right now asking about if there's an orientation week for transfer students or any specific resources that you want to highlight.
Yeah, so basically all of the orientation resources that are open to our first year or like our high school students who are coming right from high school are available for transfer students. During that week, there is definitely some separate events for transfer students. And then we also have a resource for the time that you're between when you've accepted your offer and then you'll be coming to Guelph in the fall. It's an online resource called Start Online. It's basically like an online forum where students can connect, learn about events that are happening, learn about clubs, organizations, athletics, all of those great things I mentioned, that will be available to you as well. So in that group, you can connect specifically with transfer students who might be going through the same experience that you have. Our student experience team is wonderful, and we always encourage transfer students to reach out to them. They may be able to give you resources that are a little bit more relevant to you if you've kind of already done the post-secondary school thing once or twice.
Yeah, that's really helpful, Hilary. Thanks for answering that one. And then the next question we have here is, can you remind students when the deadline is for submitting that personal support letter?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the document submission deadline for the semester you're applying to is the deadline you want to submit that support letter by. So I guess the deadline that's coming up quickest is if you're applying for admission to winter 2022 in January, you need to submit that support letter by December 1st.
All right, thank you. And then which programs are offered fully online, and how can a student find out if the courses they want to take are available online?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And obviously we're getting lots of questions about this as people have kind of gotten used to the online space during COVID. So as of right now, our Bachelor of Arts general program is available fully online. And there is more information about that program on our website. It's a 3-year program that's very general. Like you take some political science and some history, some psychology, just a whole bunch of different things within the arts. All of our other programs will require some attendance in person on campus to complete the degree requirements. A good way to check out if a course you want to take is offered online is to use our undergraduate academic calendar. So if you just Google that, undergraduate academic calendar Guelph, there's basically a way that you can navigate all the degree programs. So if you find the degree program that you want, it'll list all the courses that are required for that degree program. If you click on a course code, then it'll give you more information about that course. So a description of the course, the semesters that it's offered, and also its delivery format. So if the course is available online, you will see offered through distance education format in the academic calendar. That's a long way of saying that some courses are offered online, but it's not likely that you'll be able to complete an entire degree online unless it's the Bachelor of Arts general program.
All right, thank you. And the next one here is a student wants to make sure that their courses they're taking at their current university will transfer. So is there a way to know which courses are equivalent?
Yeah, we get that question a lot. And as I mentioned before, often we can't tell you in advance which courses are going to transfer. We just don't have the resources to be able to pre-assess transcripts. We need you to submit the application and then all your documents, and then we'll get right on that for you. We have tried to make this process a little bit easier for students to try to estimate which transfer credits they might receive. So on our website, we've published lists of courses at other Ontario universities that have previously been reviewed and are approved for transfer credit on our website. So if you go to our website and you search course equivalencies or course equivalencies by university, you will be able to find those lists. And they're basically just these PDFs that you can look up the courses that you've taken, say, at another Ontario university, and it'll tell you if that course is equivalent to a Guelph course. You may also find helpful course equivalency information on ontransfer.ca, which is a site that's run by the Ontario Council for Articulation and Transfer. Again, with both of these resources, they're just meant to act as a guide, so they aren't like a sure thing. Your actual transfer credit assessment will happen when you're admitted, and you'll receive a full list of transfer credits in your offer of admission letter. So just keep that in mind, that some of the resources that you see on those websites could be outdated. Say if the course at your former university has changed or our course has changed, then that might affect the equivalency.
And this next question we've had a couple of times, but what are the chances that I will be admitted?
Yeah, I wish I could tell everybody that. It'd be great if I could predict who would be admitted. But basically, presenting the minimum admission requirements doesn't guarantee admission. Admission is dependent on the quantity and the quality of applications we get for the entry point that you've applied to. It's also dependent on the available space in the program that you've applied to. Because we get applications all the way up till the deadline, we can't really predict how many applicants there will be and how many grades that they will, or what kind of grades they will have. So for that reason, we can't really predict or speculate the likelihood of being admitted.
Yeah, keep posting these questions in the Q&A. We're having so many great questions come in. And the next one is, if a student wants to apply for winter, but they don't have the 4U level prerequisite course, can they apply and take the course at Guelph in their first semester?
Good question. So the 4U level prerequisite courses for the programs that you're interested in have to be completed or in progress when you apply. You can't be admitted first and then take the prerequisites later. The other thing that we like to recommend is that if you're missing a prerequisite course, it's usually best to complete that course at an online high school or an adult or continuing education center. So definitely connect with us at transferinfo@uoguelph.ca if you have this concern. We can give you some recommendations.
All right, and we have another question in the Q&A kind of about that transfer credit assessment, but I see Leah there is typing an answer, and we'll provide you some of those links and resources that Hilary mentioned earlier on as well, which will be really helpful. And then the next question here, can you confirm where an international student would submit their unofficial documents?
For sure. So if you're an international applicant, you can send your documents to, it's called intdocs@uoguelph.ca. So that's intdocs@uoguelph.ca. If you are a domestic student, unofficial documents can be emailed to that third email address that you see on the screen right now, that applicant@uoguelph.ca. And I should mention that both groups of students, international, Canadian students, anybody, can apply using the OUAC 105 application and use their document upload function to submit their unofficial transcripts to us.
And I just posted those email addresses that you mentioned in the chat for everyone to access. And for a student attending the University of Guelph-Humber, will this affect their transfer application since it is a part of the same institution?
Yes, so if you're a student at the University of Guelph-Humber or at the Ridgetown campus, the University of Guelph's Ridgetown campus in Ridgetown, you can apply using our internal application that's on our website. So yes, if you're at Guelph-Humber, don't submit the OUAC application. You're already kind of considered a Guelph student and you can apply using the internal application.
That's really helpful. And for any students wanting information about master's programs, where should you direct them?
Yes, so I should have mentioned that at the top of the hour, I guess, but Michelle and I work for undergraduate admission services, and at the University of Guelph, our graduate and undergraduate admissions offices are separate. So if you have questions about applying to a graduate level program, you want to contact the Office of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies. And their email address is a weird one. It's grad online, we say, but it's gradonln@uoguelph.ca. And Michelle, if you can pop that in the chat, that'd be awesome. But the other thing we like to note is that for students transferring from another school, if you're transferring from college or you haven't completed a degree yet, normally a 4-year honors degree is typically required for admission to a graduate level program. So it's likely that you'll be applying to us first for undergraduate studies, and then you can talk about grad studies after that.
Yeah, I'll pop that email address in the chat as well, so that way everyone has it on hand.
Mm-hmm. I think Leah had asked us, can we go over the pre-assessment piece again? Basically, the university, we don't really have the capacity to offer pre-assessments of transfer credit. So that just means before you've applied, we can't really look at your transcripts and decide, oh yeah, this one equals this one and this one equals this one. We can't really do that until you've submitted an application to us and all the required documents that we need to consider your application. So we would love to be able to do that, but unfortunately, just with the volume that we deal with, we do that with students after that they've applied. So the two resources that I mentioned earlier were, you can use the course equivalency tables that we have on our website. Those are for Ontario universities only at this point in time. Again, we'd love to expand that, but we're kind of limited in what we can do. And then ontransfer.ca is a really great resource for estimating transfer credit between colleges, universities, university to university, between all different programs in Ontario. So thank you, Leah, for asking that.
And I just shared that link for the student in their question so that they have it on hand as well.
Great. So I think that's all the questions we're going to answer on camera right now, but we will leave the Q&A open for another 5 or 10 minutes or so if you have any remaining questions. Again, I want to encourage you to connect with Michelle and I. If you think up of more questions, 5 minutes after we get off the webinar, or down the road when you're applying, if something's confusing to you, we're really here to support you through that transfer application process. And we'll do everything that we can to make it as seamless as possible for you. So please reach out to us by email. And we look forward to receiving your application soon. So thank you so much for being with us here tonight. And like I said, we'll leave the Q&A open just for a little bit. But other than that, thank you so much. Bye now.